I've done nothing wrong. I don't give a damn what Kyrgios says. That's the mic drop moment from Jannik Sinner, the Italian tennis sensation and current world number one, as he faces a storm of controversy ahead of the 2025 Australian Open. Sinner, who also happens to be the reigning champion of the tournament, is not just dodging serves on the court but also volleys of accusations off it. And who's leading the charge with his loud, unapologetic commentary? None other than Nick Kyrgios, tennis's favorite trash talker. But let's rewind a bit. Sinner's drama started back in March last year when he tested positive, twice, for clostebol, a banned substance. The Italian Tennis Integrity Agency, ITIA, eventually cleared him, but hold your horses. The World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, wasn't about to let it slide. They've thrown the gauntlet, appealing the decision and sending the case to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS. Now, the tennis world waits with bated breath for the final verdict. In the meantime, Sinner isn't exactly burying his head in the sand. Look, I'd be lying if I said this whole thing doesn't mess with my head. It's been following me around like a damn shadow, he admitted during the pre-tournament media day. But, hey, it is what it is. I'm here, trying to focus on my game, and I'll see how things go. When pressed about the accusations and Kyrgios's rather enthusiastic takes on social media, Sinner was direct and unapologetic. In my head, I know what went down, and that's all that matters. I've done jack shit wrong, and that's why I'm still here, still playing. I'm not wasting my energy responding to Kyrgios or anyone else running their mouths. What matters to me is the people around me, the ones who actually know the truth. That's my circle, and I trust them with my life. Of course, Kyrgios being Kyrgios, didn't hold back on the situation, making digs online and in interviews. While some players might crumble under such relentless scrutiny, Sinner's taking it all in stride, or at least pretending to. Honestly, I've always been a freak about what I put into my body. Like, I don't care if it's just water. If the bottle's been open for too long, I toss it and grab a fresh one. I've been paranoid about this stuff my whole life, and this situation's just made me even more of a control freak, he joked, flashing a rare smirk. Now, let's shift gears a bit. Controversy aside, Sinner's preparation for the new season has been unconventional. While most top players were sweating it out in warm-up tournaments, Sinner chose to stay under the radar. No matches, no public appearances, just grinding behind the scenes. This year, I wanted something different. I worked on some small changes, tweaked a few things, and, yeah, skipped the warm-ups. I needed to focus on myself, he explained. It's a bold move, but hey, when you're number one and already have 2 Grand Slams under your belt, you get to call the shots. As the 2025 Australian Open kicks off, all eyes are on Sinner. Whether it's for his jaw-dropping backhands or the storm of drama surrounding him, one thing's for sure, he's not here to play nice. And as for Kyrgios? Well, we're pretty sure he'll keep chirping from the sidelines. Grab your popcorn, folks. This tennis season is about to get spicy. Yeah, the last season was long as hell. That's how Jannik Sinner kicks off his explanation for skipping any warm-up tournaments before the 2025 Australian Open. And honestly, who could blame the guy? He didn't just play tennis last year, he lived it. I went through the grind, man. A full ATP season, and then Davis Cup to top it off? You'd think I'd have enough energy to burn for another round, but no. After that, you need time to rest, reset your brain, and stop feeling like a damn robot. Sinner's choice to take a break wasn't some half-baked decision made while binge-watching Netflix, either. It was a calculated move by the Italian and his team. You've gotta prep the machine, bro. Your body needs to be in peak shape for a monster like the Aussie Open, he explained. And he wasn't just lounging around eating pasta, although that's probably on brand for an Italian. He's been busy sharpening his game. We made some tweaks. Adjusted the serve, mixed up the baseline shots, and tried to make the whole package more unpredictable. Evolving is the name of the game in the ATP circuit. If you don't level up, someone else will. And trust me, they're out for blood out there. When asked about his improvements, Sinner didn't hold back. I've been grinding to be more aggressive when it counts, and I've been working on managing those tactical moments better. Look, these changes might seem tiny, like invisible to people watching on TV. But at this level, every freaking detail matters. Matches are decided by razor-thin margins. One stupid mistake, and you're packing your bags. He also mentioned overhauling his serve. I tweaked my motion just a bit. It's nothing crazy, just enough to keep my opponents guessing. It might not look like much, but on the court, it can flip a match upside down. And let's face it, I'd rather not hand out free points because my serve decided to take a vacation. Skipping tournaments wasn't just about physical prep, it was about keeping his head screwed on straight. Sometimes, you've got to listen to your body, and your sanity. Dragging myself through a bunch of matches before the Open? Nah, not this year. We wanted to hit Melbourne feeling fresh, not half dead. Of course, there's a big elephant in the room, or maybe a herd of them. The clostebol scandal still looms over Sinner like a bad hangover. After a double positive test last year, the ITIA cleared him, but WADA came stomping back, appealing the decision and asking for a 2-year suspension. The case is now with the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS, and everyone's waiting to see how it plays out. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't on my mind, Sinner admitted, his trademark calm cracking just a little. This thing has been following me around like an annoying ex. But what can you do? It's there. I've just got to deal with it while keeping my focus on the Grand Slam. My job's to play tennis, not to get sucked into all this drama. The Italian's defiance is unshaken, though. I know I didn't do anything wrong. That's why I'm here, still grinding, still fighting. And yeah, I've seen the comments, the tweets, the players flapping their gums. Kyrgios, of course, being the loudest of them all. But I'm not wasting my breath on that guy or anyone else throwing shade. They don't know the facts. I do. My team does. That's what matters. Speaking of Kyrgios, the Aussie bad boy has been particularly vocal, using every opportunity to roast Sinner over the doping drama. "Nick's gonna Nick," Sinner quipped, rolling his eyes. Let him yap. He's good at it. But let's not forget Sinner's ridiculous 2024. 9 titles, including 2 Grand Slams, and a second straight Davis Cup for Italy? That's a career some players would kill for. And yet, the shadow of that positive test continues to linger. The resolution is expected in February, and until then, Sinner's walking a fine line between proving his dominance and shaking off the whispers. It's been a ride, man. Inspiring at times, messy as hell at others. But I'm here to win, not to let some bullshit define my career. What happens off the court? That'll sort itself out. On the court? That's where I show who I really am. As the 2025 Australian Open begins, all eyes are on the Italian. Will he cement his spot at the top, or will the weight of controversy finally break him? One thing's for sure, Sinner's not here to mess around. This is my chapter to write, and I'm not letting anyone else hold the pen. The tennis world is watching, popcorn in hand, caught somewhere between awe at Jannik Sinner's raw talent and skepticism thanks to his doping controversy. And let's face it, the stakes couldn't be higher. Over the next few weeks, the Italian's on-court performance and the looming verdict from the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS, will decide if he remains the golden boy of tennis or takes a nosedive into Scandalville. No pressure, right? Sinner defends his crown. Strutting into the Australian Open like a boss, Sinner arrives as the reigning champ, world #1, and all-around tennis prodigy. Oh, and lucky him, he's on the cushier side of the draw. He won't even have to deal with Carlos Alcaraz until a potential final. But don't think he's taking anything for granted. When we play, there's extra tension. Everyone watches more closely because it's the kind of match people live for, Sinner said, oozing confidence but staying grounded. First, you've got to survive the earlier rounds to even get there. It's not easy. But when it happens, the vibe is different. I think Carlos feels it too. The Alcaraz-Sinner rivalry has become the spectacle in tennis, with their matches turning into gladiator-style battles. When young players like us face off, the quality is insane. We bring out the best in each other. It's intense but kinda fun too, he admitted. Fun? For the fans, sure. For them, it's more like a mental and physical war. But before we get ahead of ourselves with dream finals, Sinner's debut at the Aussie Open pits him against Harry, a sneaky first-round opponent who could make things tricky. Still, Sinner seems unfazed. Why? Because he's coming in fresh as hell. Why no warm-up tournaments? Unlike most of the tour, who were hustling through warm-ups in places like Adelaide and Brisbane, Sinner decided to take a different route. Or rather, he just decided to chill. Last season was a damn grind. I mean, I played everything, the full ATP circuit and the Davis Cup. By the end, I was running on fumes, he confessed. So yeah, I needed a proper reset. You can't just dive back in without letting your body and mind recover. But don't think for a second that he was lounging on a beach somewhere. While the others were sweating it out in early tournaments, Sinner was in the lab, tweaking his game. Preseason isn't just about rest, it's about recalibrating. You've got to prep your body, fix the weak spots, and refine your strategies. For me, that meant making technical and tactical changes. It's not the flashy stuff fans notice, but it's the kind of shit that wins matches. He emphasized how essential it was to take that time. We decided not to play any tournaments beforehand so I could show up here feeling like $1,000,000, mentally and physically. Sometimes you've got to listen to your body and not push it just because everyone else is. Eyes on the prize. The 2025 Australian Open is more than just another tournament for Sinner. It's a chance to cement his status as the best in the world while shaking off the shadow of doping allegations. Yeah, that whole clostebol double positive thing is still following him around like a bad smell. Despite being cleared by the ITIA, WADA wasn't having it, appealing the decision and demanding a 2-year suspension. The verdict is expected in February, so for now, Sinner's just trying to keep his head in the game. It's impossible not to think about it, he admitted. I'd be lying if I said I've forgotten it. But it's been hanging over me for so long that I've kinda learned to live with it. What else can you do? Right now, my focus is on the Australian Open. The rest will work itself out, or not. Either way, I'll deal with it when it comes. His fans, his critics, and pretty much the entire tennis community are divided. Some see him as a victim of bad luck, others think he's hiding something. Meanwhile, Sinner keeps his poker face intact. I know I didn't do anything wrong. That's what keeps me going. Let people talk. Let them speculate. At the end of the day, I know the truth, and so does my team. What's next? Sinner's path to tennis glory is as thrilling as it is complicated. The dude's got 9 titles from 2024 alone, including 2 Grand Slams and a Davis Cup victory with Italy. But despite the trophies, the controversies refuse to let him shine without a shadow. Still, he's not one to let the drama define him. This is my job, my career, my life. I can't control what people say, but I can control what I do on the court. And that's where I plan to make my statement. The 2025 Australian Open is shaping up to be a make-or-break moment for Jannik Sinner. Whether he thrives under the spotlight or buckles under the weight of expectation, one thing's for sure, it's gonna be one hell of a show. And if you're not watching, you're missing out on tennis history in the making.